Generally speaking, the jivas, living entities, have to accept the results of their karma activities. Whereas Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality, is beyond karma, but he will appear to accept certain reactions of karma when he incarnates in this world and performs his naravat or human-like pastimes. In the case of Lord Ram or Krishna, in some cases, it is seen that Krishna may accept a curse from one of his, even the devotees, or like Durvasa's curse to the Yadavas, or when Sita was stolen by Ravan, Ram suffered so much. So if God is omnipotent, why does he have to accept these apparent reactions? Our Gurudev teaches that this is because Krishna, the Supreme Lord, upholds the principles of the scriptures. While upholding these principles, our Gurudev teaches that this is part of the Lord's Lila, eternal play. It is, while doing this, the Lord is doing so to teach and instruct the living entities, as well as it is a way to attract them by his wonderful activities. For example, if Krishna or Ram used his transcendental powers, the Leelas would be too simple. Krishna could have easily killed Kamsa right as soon as he appeared. Why did he have to fight with all the demons and wait for so long? But it enhanced the sweetness of his pastimes, and in this way gave something for the devotees to relish. There's a verse, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam Manusham Dehamashritam, that Krishna appears in a human-like form and displays human-like pastimes in order to show mercy to the devotees and attract them to him. So it is part of his sweet play. For example, Ram could have destroyed Ravan with the snap of his fingers and returned Sita. Why did he lament and wander around in the forest searching for his beloved Sita? The Lord knew that Ravan sent Marichi, the demon in the shape of a golden deer, that he was really a demon. So why did Ram appear to become bewildered? But the Vaishnavas reconcile this, saying that God does this to uphold the principles of the scriptures as well as to attract the devotees to him through his sweet display of human-like pastimes. There's a story told by our Gurudev that once there was a king who was given a magical exhibition by a family of magicians. And they performed such a miraculous, wonderful set of magical tricks, you could say, or different magical demonstration, that the king and the queen were very impressed. They were there with the whole royal assembly watching this. And afterwards, the queen, she took off her priceless necklace and presented it to the father, the head of the family. As soon as the father got this, then there was the father, the mother, and 2 children. The mother said, "Give it to me. I deserve it." The father said, "No, it is mine." Then the son said, "No, give it to me." The daughter said, "No, give it to me." They all began to fight over this necklace. And they came to blows. And then they were not satisfied. That within a minute, they were fighting, and then they pulled out knives. The wife killed the husband, then she killed herself, and then the son and daughter also died. And within a matter of moments, the king and the queen in front of the royal assembly were all sitting in astonishment. What is this? We gave them our necklace and now they've just killed themselves fighting over it. And they began to lament, and they had no time to even intervene. And they began mourning after that. Now, it so occurred that a few weeks later, the king received a letter brought by a messenger, and it said, "Oh, king, You gave us the reward for our first magic show, our first act, but you did not reward us for the second act. The king was very surprised. I saw them all die right in front of my own eyes. How is it possible? The king sent the messenger back and said, please come to the court. I want to see you. Then I will directly give you a reward, a presentation. So the family returned to the king's court, and the king saw they were all very healthy, not even a scratch. And he was completely mesmerized. How is it possible? In front of my very eyes, you all slaughtered each other. And they simply smiled. Why would they reveal their trick? So then our Gurudev would say, similarly, when Ram, when Krishna and other incarnations appear to accept difficult situations, apparently taking these on as some kind of karmic reaction, when you would think they would be easily able to kind of transcend that. This is part of their Lila, divine play. Like a magical display, like the magician's display. Like when Krishna was shot by the hunter. Krishna is not bound by this, but he puts on some display of human-like pastimes. Even the Vaishnavas, under the shelter of the Supreme Lord, are not bound by the laws of karma, like ordinary divinities are. There's a verse in scripture, Na karma bandhanam janma vaishnavanam chavidyate Vishnu anucharatvam hi mokshamahur manishana, which states that Vaishnavas are not bound by karma, just as Vishnu is not bound by karma. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mam eti so Arjuna. That person who understands my divine nature beyond karma can also become transcendental. It's very difficult to understand, but having understood that by proper sadhana practice, you yourself will transcend the cycle of birth and death. You will not have to suffer your karma. So this is important. When Dwarka became submerged by the curse of the sages, the Lord enacts this pastime. For example, when the Yadavas slaughtered each other in the Prabha Kshetra, you can say, was this necessary? But this is all part of the Lord's divine play. It is like a magical demonstration. Krishna stated to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, I am myself and you, my eternal associate, we are eternal, transcendental. These material activities or this pastime we are performing, this is only part of our Lila. You should not be bewildered. The Lord apparently accepts these reactions, but only to uphold the principles of the scriptures. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse where Krishna says, I do not have to perform any function. I'm not bound to perform any activity. But if I were to give up these, it would set a bad example. Krishna also says in the Gita, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tad evataru janaha, that common man follows what a great man performs. Therefore, Krishna says, I uphold the principles of dharma and follow the rules and regulations of scripture to set the proper example for the living entities. Another example is given. Lord Brahma, who is the son of Vishnu Narayan, he gave so many boons to Hiranyakashipu, the first great tyrant described in the scriptures who appeared in the first age, Satyuga. He gave him so many boons, it seemed like he could not be killed day, night, man or animal, on land or on sea, day or the night. So many things were given to protect him. And Vishnu followed these when he appeared as Nrsingadev, half man, half lion. He killed him in the doorway, not inside, not outside, not on the land, not on the sea, but on his lap, not with any weapon, but with his nails. So Lord Vishnu, you could say he could just break all those boons, but he does not, because he upholds the honor of his devotees. So we're going to hear one more example in this video. The Puranas describe that the entire universe came into being from the lotus flower that manifested from the navel of Lord Vishnu. The Mayavadis claim that the Lord has no form. So then why would the scriptures describe that the creation appears from the lotus flower emanating from the navel of the Lord? Why would they give so many descriptions of that? Why would they describe how he is lying on the bed of Ananta Shesh, being served by goddess Lakshmi? There are countless descriptions of the Lord's transcendental form, and yet the Mayavadis say the Lord has no form, it's temporary, it's Maya. It doesn't make any sense. On one hand, the Mayavadis do not want to accept the scriptural statements, and yet on the same time, they tried to accept one or two statements like Tat Tvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. This is just their stubborn obstinacy. The proper understanding of even these verses, Tat Tvamasi and Aham Brahmasmi, is according to the Vaishnav conception, because that is something that goes along in harmony with all the other statements of the scriptures. In Vedanta, there are so many descriptions of the Lord's sagun nature of being full of transcendental attributes. His names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. These are transcendental. When we hear the Lord described to be nirgun, it means that he is free of any material attribute or contamination. He is completely transcendental. The Mayavadis say the Lord has no form, but the Vedic scriptures are replete with descriptions of the Lord's form and the opulences of the Lord, such as his Shri, his beauty, his Yash fame, his power, his knowledge, his renunciation. Throughout the scriptures, there are descriptions. For example, the Lord's beautiful lotus eyes, or the Lord's lotus feet are bathed by the sacred river Ganga. How can the Lord's lotus feet be bathed by the Ganga if he has no form? Where does the Ganga come from? Everyone knows the story of the Ganga. She has appeared when she bathed the feet of the Lord. So if the Lord has no form, how could she bathe his feet? How could there be a Ganga? Her very history becomes false. Now, Krishna, the Supreme Personality, manifests in two transcendental features. In his original form, the source of all incarnations, that is known as Avatari. There is Avatar, and then there is Avatari, the original source of all the incarnations. Secondly, there are the avatars, the Vishnu incarnations, like Nrsinga, Kalki, Parashuram, Vaman, and so forth. The living entities are divided into two groups as well. The devotees, who are liberated and free from the influence of Maya, and the non-devotees who are bound by the illusory energy of the Lord. Some Mayavadis claim that the jivas, who are individual souls, are completely the same with the Supreme. Like they may say, reflections in water are the same as the reflected object. However, this kind of analogy does not establish by any kind of proof that we are one with God. How can it be that the individual jivas are one with the Supreme, equal with the Supreme? That is only a figment of our imagination. The reflection itself is not equal to the reality. reality is always dynamic, full of many different varieties of, like, for example, we've described this example many times before. If you see a reflection of a fruit tree in the water, you cannot pick the fruits off the reflection and eat them, but you can go to the fruit tree on the shore of the river and eat the fruits off that. So in this way, the living entities are distinct from God. If we accept the Mayavadi's understanding that we are one with God, then it goes against the scriptural statement that God is free of material influence and the jivas are under the influence of matter. And also, it then comes under the category of Brahma Parinamvad, that God comes under the influence of his lower energy, like the shadow of the sun covering the sun itself. Someone who is under the influence of the shadow may not see the sun in its full glory, but the sun itself, the Supreme Absolute Truth itself, is never under the shadow. So in this way, we hear many different descriptions and refutations of the Mayavad and personalist theory by the Vaishnavas. We'll hear a few more going forward, and then we'll conclude our series on the victory of Vaishnavism, or breaking the wheel of the final illusion, the false conception that I am God. Thank you for watching. Hare Krishna.